Hey folks, how's it going? Another day, another thing on the Spitfire. So I've been working. It doesn't really show much on this side. I mostly worked on the other side. But I've been cleaning up the chassis on the Spitfire. Since it's so far apart, I wanted to go ahead and take some time and paint it. At least what I can. You know, I'm never gonna get in here again unless I've got the suspension off. While I was there, I noticed a little rust blister right here. I cut that out, went ahead and welded in a new patch, which found a little bit more rust over there. Still not a big deal. This is the outrigger, so this is the passenger side firewall, battery tray right there. So anyway, been cleaning that up and patching it, no big deal. The problem is, and if you saw my last video, I stuck an air nozzle in that area on the passenger side, or the driver's side. And I did it on this side too, and I probably pulled at least a pound or two of dirt out of there, and loose rust. Whatever, not the big end of the world. So, while I was cleaning this out, I was using a chisel and just kind of scraping around in there to get some rust out of the way, and poked through to the back side of it. So now I'm working on the back side. I'm under the car, and I'll start cutting this area out. Let's see, here's the back side of this thing. This brace is somewhat structural. I mean, it's for the it holds the firewall of the car up, basically. It holds the outside of the car up. This is kind of a unibody-ish on chassis. But then I found this. This is the main passenger side frame rail. It all looks okay. My transmission is leaking pretty badly, but that's to be expected. I haven't fixed that yet. Yeah, I found, well, it certainly didn't start like this. It started with a bubble of rust. And I took a sharp-pointed hammer, body work hammer, and started tapping on it. And that's a, what, 1.5 to 2 inch hole right there. I cut away this outrigger. I can get a new outrigger for it, and theoretically I can weld it in place. But there's a, 1.5 to 2 inch wide hole there. And there's, I'm sure, more here. So the issue is that this car, this is the drain for the battery tray, and obviously it drips right onto this frame rail. They're real close to it. And it builds up a lot of dirt in this pocket area from the fact that they didn't install a 50-cent rubber grommet in it at the factory. And it was closed on both sides, so there was really no way to get the dirt out until you started taking it apart, or at least blowing it out. Yeah, this is much bigger of a problem. That's the structural support of the car. And this car's chassis is made out of like 16 and 18 gauge steel. It's just folded. It's kind of a double, it's a fully boxed frame. It's just made with real thin material. So remember, this car weighs like 1,700 pounds, fully loaded. So now the question is, what do I do? I've poked around. The driver's side seems solid. It looks fine. I've rapped on it with a hammer in the same areas, and it's, I don't know. Yeah, that's a bubble. I think that's a spot of rust right there too. You can see it's provided its own undercoating in a lot of places from oil leaks. I've got a nice, I repainted the oil pan, so that's nice under here. It's just gotten scuffed up from installation and sliding on the floor, but it's nice. So, do I trust my welding skills upside down in a very confined space with a MIG welder to repair this frame structurally? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think I do. But good news is I have another car, and it even though the body on it is just garbage, the chassis so far seems pretty nice. So what I'm thinking about doing right now, and this was kind of the plan, one of the options when I got this car was to use the body off this car and the chassis off the other car. They're identical. They're off by 1 year. I've got to figure out what the registration ramifications of that are, but I don't think it'll be a problem. But swap the body, the running gear to the other car, basically. If I do that, I can take the time to get that car's chassis. It's basically it's a rolling chassis right now. The body's off of it in my other shop area, storage area. I can take the time to clean it up, you know, have it sandblasted for a couple $100 and paint it up with some good rust proofing, a couple layers of that, and go to town. The other thing, I knew this car had been damaged on the passenger side. So this is the outer rocker, and if you saw the silver car, you'll know that it looks kind of familiar. Clearly somebody with very little skill tried to repair this at some point. And they didn't put new floor pans in, but they put an outer rocker in, and then they didn't really weld it together very well. So, and this floor pan itself is just dropped. The whole seat's gonna sit a little bit funny. And I have a floor pan for it, so and you can see anywhere there's a black spot, that was a hole in the floor pan. Driver's side's probably just fine. There's a few spots, those are intentional holes. And I've done some patching over here with some epoxy and stuff, but there's, sorry, me being under the car makes it a little hard to do a video. But yeah, basically what I can do is split the body off this, take the bonnet off, take the engine out of it, because I know it runs, I think it runs better than the other one does, but I don't know. Take the other chassis, completely strip it down, have it sandblasted. Sandblast like this stuff, this is all bolt on. Figure out what shims need to go where, and just start it again. I don't know. I have a little inspection camera, and I dug around through there. That's the camera. Trying to get into that area. The only access points are up here at the front of the frame head, and I can't really get far enough back there, but from poking it in through that hole, it looks, I mean, it's probably okay once you get past that outrigger area. This is the outrigger. But to replace this, I've got to cut, you can kind of see the weld seams there. I've got to cut all the way around this thing, repair the bad frame section, probably on both sides now that I look at it more, and then weld on these. These are $60 each, at least. That's the cheap ones. I haven't priced quality OEM replacements. And then we've got some more damage up here. What I'm kind of leaning towards maybe is, well, I got the body off. I just hate to say this, but going ahead and stripping some of this crap out, getting it patched up better, and trying to have just a little bit of respray work done down here. I'm leaning towards maybe using some panel bonding adhesive. That's what they build new cars with in a lot of situations. And it's just as strong as a weld, so I could, instead of having to spot weld all of this, I could clean it up, flatten it real good, cut out what I need to from the floor pan, put the new floor pan in, and then just have some touch-up work done. You know, just clean up. That's a hole of rust. Down here, it's a little bit messy. I don't know, guys. I'm just, this is just depressing. I don't have to do any of that. The car's probably fine. I mean, I don't know. if you get T-boned in this thing, you're not in great shape to begin with. The other thing I've got to do is try to get these doors forward. I'm gonna have to unmount them anyway, so it's really a couple dozen bolts and like 4 or 5 strong guys to pick this chassis body off the frame, wheel it outside, and put the other chassis on. Put out the other chassis once it's all restored. I think it would be a better result in the end, but I don't know. I say a lot, sorry. So let me know what you think. I've posted this on a forum already, and yeah. Realistically, I mean, compared to something like in Vermont, this thing is still solid, but I don't like the idea of it. It also doesn't seem square. I really would like to check. My floor in here is seemingly fairly level, but sometimes I feel like it's rocking when I get out of the car. It's on these jack stands. And I think I've got them placed pretty symmetrically. Something just doesn't seem quite right with this chassis. The other chassis, we took the body off last night, me and a couple of friends, and it was, from what I could tell, I banged around on it with a hammer, and he's, one of these guys. The sharp point of that, and it seems solid. It's in a lot less flaky rust on it. It's probably another 2 or 3 months of work, but a lot of the stuff I've done on this, really, it'll just transfer over. The engine, I would have liked to have pulled the engine out anyway. It's all covered up. I'm still working on the timing stuff under there. I've changed motor mounts. Those will just, that's no problem. I just take them off, put them on the other one. Maybe add a little bit of reinforcement like here. I think that this panel just gets bent up. Every one of these cars I've seen, you can see up there, it's crunched. Maybe add a little bit extra support there. Frame coat the inside of it. Let me know what you think. I've got a small sandblaster. My stepfather's got a outdoors style sandblaster that is bigger, but for $200 I can do the whole chassis roughly and be done with it. The downside is I'll be working in a unheated shop over the winter time to do a lot of the work on that chassis. Don't know. Like I said, I'm sure I could fix this. I'm sure I could pay somebody $100 to weld it. I'm just not sure that I want to. I just feel like I'd have a nicer car if I actually did a full restoration on it. I know I'd have a nicer car. I'd have a nice solid chassis. I've got to run new brake lines, new fuel line. Those should be getting here today. New clutch lines. All that stuff has got to be run new anyway because I just don't trust it. And like I said, it's not a whole lot to it. We'll pull the doors off because I need to do that anyway. I've got to slot these. There's a plate behind here where the hinges go into, and I've got to slot it and try to pull it forward, and then maybe even try to pull the hood, the bonnet forward a little bit. But I don't know. Otherwise, things have been going. Like I said, I've been working on the engine. Dash, all that stuff can just stay. I'll pull the dash out for safekeeping because it's 2 seconds work. Pull the collapsible part of the steering rod in, and maybe pull the column out. That's not a big deal. Inside, you can just see it's just all those white spots are epoxy putty I used to try to seal up some of the holes. Yeah, this door barely closes. See how tight that gap is? That needs to be, 1/8 of an inch or more. So the other cars, the other chassis, I've already done a lot of brake work on it. I pulled the leaf springs off. I've got most of the rear suspension done. The rear brakes are done on it, but I'd like to press the axles apart, do new wheel bearings while I've got it apart. Back here is just the trunk. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.